What's up guys, welcome back to a new video. Today we'll be going over 30 tips and tricks, mainly focused on ranked and some specific legends from me, Pettyboss. I'm a multi-season Predator. For clarification purposes, Apex Predator, since day one of the game. Obviously ranked wasn't out then, but you know what I mean. I've qualified for the ALGS finals on multiple occasions, which is the EA sanctioned Apex tournaments that you see all your favorite streamers play. And I got a lot of requests in my stream to make a video on different tips that can be used for ranked and competitive. Before the video starts though, a lot of people that watch my videos aren't subbed to the channel, like over 80%. So I would appreciate if you hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be uploading gameplays as well as other informational videos like this more often. But without further ado, let's get to the first tip. Number 1, and I can't stress this enough, but play multiple legends. If you can only play one character, or if you main one character and only know how to play that character, if they get nerfed, then you're kind of screwed. So it's in your best interest to play multiple characters to be able to flex for your team in different situations. Tip number 2, watch pro streamers. This is another one I can't stress enough because besides just playing the game and logging some hours, watching streamers is the other best way to get better at the game. How they take fights, when they use their abilities, when they use their ultimate, stuff like that are just a few things that you can pick up from just watching somebody play Apex. This goes for both competitive and ranked. If you're watching somebody play ranked, don't apply those same principles to competitive and vice versa. If you want to get better at ranked, watch how pro streamers play ranked. If you want to get better at competitive, watch how pro streamers play competitive. It's that simple. Tip number 3 is to land uncontested or at the same spot over and over again to learn how to fight at that POI. This goes for both ranked and competitive. I know for a fact that in competitive, if you land at the same location and you're uncontested, you will have better results in a tournament. But if you are contested and you've landed there for months or weeks or however long you've been there, then you know how to 50-50 off drop. It's not technically a 50-50 if you've landed there a bunch of times and know how to fight it properly. This really depends on the POI that you're at, but if you land there enough, you'll learn how to gain an edge just by landing there with another team, even if you have worse loot. Number 4, learn the importance of height. Height is a very tricky concept in Apex, especially with the new Legend Horizon. Height is very good, and even if you have a knocked player, if you have somebody hold and somebody res, height can literally just win you a fight. Inherently, if you're on a height position and you're looking down at a team, you actually have a head glitch. Technically, because you can quickly unpeak and completely heal in the open no matter what because they cannot see you. Unless they have a Horizon or a Pathfinder or someone to get up to you, they can't do anything. Tip number 5, keep a mental timer on your enemy's abilities. This goes for mostly competitive because it's not as serious in ranked, but sometimes it's applicable. Basically, keep a tracker on the enemy's ability usage. So if they've used Bubble, if they've used Q on Wraith, if they've used Horizon Q, stuff like that. Keep that information in your head so when you see them use it, you can potentially push because they won't have access to that ability when you're pushing. A quick example I could give is if a Gibraltar's already used his bubble and he's at a piece of cover, you can get angles on him, and when he tries to rotate, he won't have access to his bubble and you can calm to focus him. Tip number 6, play meta legends. I'm sorry, but Rampart is literally the worst legend in the game, so I feel bad for all the Rampart mains that are watching this video, but she is just not that good. If you want to get better at this game, play a combination of any of these legends: Wraith, Caustic, Gibraltar, Horizon, Bloodhound, and maybe Watson and Pathfinder. I can't tell for sure if they're quite meta yet. With the removal of low profile and giving Watson passive shield regen, I don't know if they'll be meta, but they'll definitely be usable in high level play. Ironically enough, at the time of making this video, the 18.1 patch just went out with the Caustic Town takeover, and Octane Revenant is running ranked right now. And although that, I didn't mention any of those legends as meta legends, they aren't. Because when KC goes out of the rotation for ranked and Olympus comes back, that map is very open and Octane and Revenant will get very highly punished on that map. That combo of Octane Revenant is only good on Kings Canyon because of how close quarters the fights are. Tip number 7, learn how to mouse and keyboard loot. This mainly only applies to controller players, but I don't see this much even in high level play or in Predator ranked. But if you're a controller player, learn how to loot with mouse and keyboard. You can loot your POI with mouse and keyboard and speed up that process, and you can loot boxes in the open without having to stand still. This is a pretty simple, change. It's not the hardest to mouse and keyboard loot, but I think more controller players should try to play hybrid on PC because it only benefits you. You get all the benefits of PC, like looting and faster movement when you're at your initial POI, and you get aim assist. It's just a win-win. Tip number 8, use your damn pings. I don't know how many teammates I've had that have problems with using pings or effectively communicating damage to me, but it's a big problem, and it's something that you need to get better at. Use your red ping to tell your teammates where the enemies are. If somebody's getting a wide angle, use that red ping to tell your teammates to get out of the way because they're about to get swung on. And learn how to effectively communicate damage. I don't know how many times I've heard somebody's been lasered, or someone's been shredded, or someone's been beamed, but if you just call damage numbers like 150 on blue on the Watson, that effectively communicates that the Watson is 25 HP because blue armor is 75 health, etc, etc. But basically call numbers instead of just useless words. Tip number 9, learn how to use multiple guns well, even without attachments. There's gonna be a lot of spawn fighting when you're trying to get better, so learning how to use guns that don't have attachments or guns that you're just not super comfortable on is a good thing to do. This is a pretty general tip, but it's definitely a way to get better. If you keep trying to main guns, it's not gonna work out the best for you. Tip number 10, be confident in your aim and your ability to win a fight. I don't know how many people I've seen that play scrims or high level ranked when they're against somebody they know or whatever, but they start shaking and start missing shots, especially MNK players. And the only thing that just needs to change for that to fix itself is just fix your confidence levels. Learn how to calm down in a fight and hit your shots and make your shots count, because that's the only way you're going to win those fights. If you keep shaking and getting nervous, you're always going to miss shots and probably lose the fight because of it. The best thing you can do is just learn how to, for yourself, gain confidence in a fight and hit those shots and make those shots hit. I cannot stress this enough. This is even for comp players who go to LAN and are under intense pressure. You just have to learn how to hit your shots when you're under pressure. Tip number 11, and this goes mainly for comp, but maybe for rank too, but learn to know when you're actually doomed in the game and when to play for kills instead of placement. Sometimes you're walking in on the ring's on your ass, and you're walking in circle 5 and there's a team gatekeeping you, but there's another team to your left also rotating in on the same edge. You know you're gonna die. You might as well try to kill them and get the kill points before you die. This is a hard decision to make, and it's really hard to see in the game when you shouldn't play for the win and you should play for kills. It's a hard thing to figure out, and I can't really give an example as to when besides like that hypothetical I just said, but try to know when you should play for kill points rather than placement. Tip number 12, be mindful of the kill feed. If you're playing a spot and there's teams around you fighting, just peep the kill feed and see if there's any trades and see if you have a potential to go third party. Or see if you're fighting and then the team that you're fighting gets thirded and you can watch the kill feed and see them die, and then maybe you can get a reset off. It's just a helpful tip for top ranked players, and they use that to influence their decision making in endgames. Tip number 13, and this is used both in ranked and competitive, but when you die, use your knockdown shield to give your teammates cover so they can play around it. I don't know how many 1v3s I've seen of a solo player using his two teammates' knockdown shields as like Reinhardt walls. If any of you have played Overwatch, you know what I mean. But basically they can use that as cover and quickly peek out with Mastiff and do a bunch of damage and hide back under and take no damage doing it. It's a very good strat for when somebody's dead on your team. They can totally shield you from any nades, any ults, anything basically. It's pretty broken, and you can completely hide inside your teammate behind their shield. Tip number 14, and this is a pretty niche tip, but you can actually kill yourself in game and use your death box to shield teammates from lava or incoming fire. This was used most notably by TSM reps in the last few tournaments where he died on top of his teammate's death box to make a wall of death boxes for snipe, or when they were rotating in from thermal and they had to play on top of the lava because they couldn't climb, so one of them died to make a death box that they could stand on. It's a pretty niche tip, like I said, and it wouldn't be used in most situations, but it's super big brain and something that I figured I'd share with you guys. Tip number 15, if you're holding a building that has death boxes in it, take the swaps out of the boxes and heal them, and you can use them as armor swaps if you get pushed. It's a pretty simple tip, and you can quickly swap them during the fight. Tip number 16, if you have a gold armor and are rotating through the zone, cycle it between your teammates to min-max your syringes. This is another pretty obvious one, just cycle the armor. pop a syringe, give it to your next teammate, and so on. Tip number 17. If your ultimate is already charged and you have a gold helmet, give it to your teammate if they don't have theirs, so they can charge theirs faster. For those of you that don't know, the gold helmet decreases the cooldown on your tactical and ultimate ability, so cycle it between your teammates to get all your ultimates back. Tip number 18, prioritize giving your gold bags to lifelines, Gibraltars, and caustics. Like I said earlier, Lifeline isn't a super meta legend, but for modes like pubs and ranked, she's pretty good and is made around rezzing teammates, so a gold bag on her, or like Gibraltar who has fast res in the dome, or like Caustic who can trap up a building, pop the gas, and res teammates, it would be very good on those characters. Tip number 19, the EVA 8 greatly outdamages the Mastiff in this new patch. 18.1 just came out a couple days ago, and if you practice with the EVA 8, it does a ton more damage than the Mastiff. If you get good with the EVA 8, you could actually outdamage most Mastiffs. Learn how to hit your shots, trust me, it's much better. That's it for just the gameplay specific tips, but now I'm going to go on to legend tips that have to do with specific legends and very situational circumstances. Tip number 20, if you're getting pushed and you don't have a defensive legend like Caustic or Watson, you can actually portal your doors with Wraith and put the portals right in the doorways to prevent people from coming inside. This isn't used much anymore because most people that are playing competitive or high rated ranked have a defensive legend of some kind to prevent this from happening, so you don't need to portal your doors, but it helps sometimes. Tip number 21, Caustic and Gibby will get vacuumed into a Wraith portal kidnap if they stand completely still. It used to be a rumor that you could just stand still to avoid all kidnaps, and when they placed the portal, you would just get pushed out of the way. But characters like Gibby and Caustic that have bigger hitboxes would actually get vacuumed into the portal kidnap. So don't stand still. If you see a Wraith coming at you with a kidnap, try to avoid it by climbing on something or running away. Tip number 22, there's actually a pretty gross combo in comp right now where you can force an enemy team's Gibby bubble with your own Gibby ult and then crypto EMP their bubble off so the Gibby ult starts to hit them. This is used actually quite a bit in comp with crypto. A lot of teams will crutch the bubble, like they'll all group up inside and start healing and resetting because that's just a tendency that Gibby teams have. And so when the EMP takes the bubble down, they're kind of just in the open and really vulnerable. Tip number 23, you can Horizon ult a wall to pull a team inside a building into the wall on the inside. This trick works well if a team has a small space to play and you can pull them to one corner and then caustical that corner, and then they're kind of screwed. You can caustical, you could nade, you could do whatever type of damage to when they're all in one spot, and it will kind of destroy them because they won't be able to break the Horizon ult. They'll be inside the building, the Horizon ult will be on the outside, and they'll be kind of screwed. Tip number 24, don't randomly scan on Bloodhound. Use scans to keep track of enemies and to potentially look for opening damage. You can actually use scans pretty randomly when you're checking spots, but when you're fighting a team, don't just scan off cooldown. Use the scans when you think the team is pushing or getting angles, or when you can catch somebody isolated, or use it to push, like basically scan and then get your teammates to take angles while the scan is in effect and try to get damage off that scan. Don't just randomly use your scans when your teammates aren't ready to capitalize off of them. Tip number 25, don't always use the Horizon Q solo. Take advantage of your whole team using it so you don't get focused. This is another good tip for Horizon users. Basically, if you queue up in the air and start shooting a team, it's likely the whole team will start shooting you because you're the only person in the air and that's shooting them. So you want to use your whole team in the Horizon queue, not only to maybe get angles or take height from a team, but so that your Horizon just doesn't get focused out of the air. Now, this isn't always the case. Your Horizon could sometimes get a solo angle and queue up in the air by herself and destroy a whole team and not get focused at all. It's situational. But basically, if a Horizon is trying to queue up to get opening damage, you probably don't want to do that when the whole enemy team is full HP. They're just going to focus you out of the air. You might as well use the Q mid-fight or with your whole team, whatever you want to do. Tip number 26, and this is a pretty simple one, but any portal that you see, enemy or friendly, always trap it with a caustic barrel or with Watson fences. There is no reason you shouldn't be trapping them, because say the enemy team takes your own portal and comes out on the other side and camps it, you'd be regretting not trapping the end of the portal, because you'd rather have them hit Watson fences and caustic gas than nothing. Tip number 27, you can use bubble to make entry on buildings that are Watson fenced or gassed. You can actually use the dome on Gibby to section off a part of the building and, put the barrel on the outside of the bubble with the doorway on the inside of the bubble and make entry into a building that's trapped. This is especially easy when a door is Watson fenced. You just put the edge of the bubble in between the nodes of the fence and it completely takes it down. You can walk inside for free. It's a little more tricky when it comes to positioning the bubble around a caustic barrel that's either already popped or in a weird spot on the door. You don't want to get it inside the bubble because you want to be able to get in the building in the bubble without the gas being in it. It's hard, but try to keep note of that. Tip number 28, crypto drone can only travel 200 meters. So it's in your best interest to play in a spot in 200 meter range of a beacon. Crypto is mainly a position-based character, so when you're playing a spot in comp or you're playing endgame in ranked, play a spot that's within 200 meters of a beacon or close enough. 250 is fine. You can walk out of your building or walk out a spot, get your teammates to cover you while you go and drone and get the next beacon knowledge, because beacon knowledge is very, very effective in a game like Apex. If you know the next circle before everybody else, you can do an early rotate to a spot that'll win you the game. Tip number 29, if you drop your armor for 12 seconds or longer, aka it's on the ground for 12 seconds, your armor won't take damage on the ground from Crypto EMP. Crypto EMP will damage your armor even if you drop it instantly as the EMP is going off, but if it's on the ground for 12 seconds, it won't damage it. The reason you'll see pros in comp or ranked drop their armor anyway, even if it's already on them, when the EMP is going off, is so that the crypto doesn't get evo damage for their armor. But if you're playing a spot in comp and you're just, waiting in your building for the circle to update, you might as well drop your armor so that if you get randomly EMP'd by a crypto for their evo shield, that it doesn't take damage. They don't drain your shields and they don't get evo damage. Tip number 30, and this is another niche tip, but with Watson, if you preset a node behind a door that's being held by an enemy, you can make a fence through the door and connect it to a node outside on your side of the door to hit the person holding the other side of the door and break the door, making for an easy one clip. This is a clip courtesy of Crust from the team Sentinels, who did this to a player, I think in scrims. This is the only clip I could remember when I was thinking about this tip with Watson. I don't play much Watson myself, but you could get really good at this. If you're getting chased, place a node before you go outside a door that you're gonna hold, make the fence, and you can get a free kill. That's it for all the tips. If you enjoyed, please hit the subscribe button. I love doing these types of videos, and I'll probably do more in the future. At the time of making this video, the 18.1 patch just came out, and if you guys want my thoughts on that, on Pathfinder, on the buffed legends, on the nerfed legends, do let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. I don't have a lot of subscribers, so I'd really appreciate it if you guys sub to the channel and watch the videos, as I put a lot of time into them and the thumbnails, so I'd appreciate it. I do try to stream every day on Twitch. I stream ranked, I stream pubs, I stream tournaments as well at twitch.tv/Pettyboss. And you can also find my other socials like my Twitter, where I post videos and updates and when I'm live. So do feel free to follow that as well. I also post on TikTok and Instagram, any little clips. Those are also in the description of my videos. Do check those out and I'd appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Instead, I pour the milk.